Well, welcome back. Clearly, I'm Conrad, and this is the Whiskey Bonded Live, Whiskey Wednesday, Whiskey Business, Whiskey Talking. Got a bunch of people in the chat already. I've got some great topics for tonight. We got multiple camera angles and live screens, and we're trying to get this thing better and better because we're going to start having guests on pretty soon. I'll give you guys a little hint as to what's going on with that here soon enough. Tonight, and we're going to try and keep these things to an hour. Please, if you guys have comments, please add it in there. Yes, Tom, I see your comment about 6:30-ish. Listen, I started the stream before it clicked over to 6:31, so close enough. Close enough. Yeah, just please put in the chat what you're drinking tonight, what you're sipping on. Everybody's going to want to see that, I'm sure. A couple of quick things I wanted to tell you guys about. One of the first guests that we're going to have, and it is not going to air live because we are going to be talking about some stuff that is not going to be released until after we're going to film it. But coming up next week, we're actually talking to Dr. Pat of Wilderness Trail. We're going to have him on. I'm going to have a cool conversation with him for about an hour. We're gonna air that after the embargo for the information for the release that we're going to be tasting and talking about comes off. But I may try to get some of you guys in on that live. We're going to try and work on having the interviews that we're going to be airing for the Whiskey Bonded podcast and for streaming content be accessible to patrons live in the moment so that you guys can ask questions of whoever I'm interviewing. Dr. Pat's going to be a little bit of a guinea pig on this. Kind of a big deal in the whiskey industry to be using as a guinea pig, but that's how I do. So we're just going to do that. You guys can see let's see what you're talking about. Smoking ice cream cake. We're smoking an ice cream cake? Oh, not smoking an ice cream cake. I got you. Starting with some buffalo. Scrock, what kind of buffalo? You got to be a little bit more specific than that. Slotman's drinking water. You okay, Cam? Pipe Dream 101. Yes, Joanna, Mrs. Whiskey Bonded brings up a great point. Please hit the likes. Comment, share, but the old thumbs up is very, very important. We are trying to get this thing to get more viewership going forward because the old TikTok got thousands of people, and the YouTube is getting tens. We're getting tens of people watching the YouTube. Here's what I wanted to talk about tonight primarily, and I really want your guys' input on this. I got a piece of paper. I'm going to be making notes because I saw a video from Matt Porter over ADHD Whiskey this week. And you guys, I'm sure you guys know because I mentioned it sometimes. I don't get enough time to watch a lot of video content, but there's some people I try to keep up on primarily because I'm always kind of watching the guys that have come before me to see what they're doing. I do have conversations with these guys as often as I can because I'm trying to keep up on, the successful things that they did, where they're going, what's working, what's not working, what you guys are interested in. Oh, Buffalo Trace store pick. I like those Buffalo Trace store picks for sure. But I saw Matt Porter post this. Gotta stay on track. Saw Matt Porter post this video about how he was picking his distillery of the year for 2025 already. Now, way too early for that. I get what he was saying. He actually named, if you hadn't seen, he actually named Jack Daniel's as distillery of the year. But that got me thinking. I didn't do a great job last year of naming a lot of best ofs, primarily because everybody else is doing best ofs, and I get really weird when everybody else is doing one thing. I don't like to do that thing because I just like that. I have been called a contrarian by many people many times. If everybody else is going up, I'm going to go down. If everybody else goes left, I'm going to go right. That's just kind of the way that it is going to be. But I do think that I want to do a better job this year of naming some of the best ofs because I think it generates a lot of really great conversation. And that's one of my favorite things about this whole thing, about this community, is the fantastic conversations that we have, both about whiskey and the industry and the people, but also about the other things that we talk about. So I am going to ask you guys, nonconformists, that's a nice way to put it. I'm going to ask you guys to help me out. I'm going to go through some of my thoughts tonight about the best distilleries for 2025 based on some of the releases that have been done. Get your guys' suggestions about the things that I'm missing, see what you think. And so that I can circle back on some of these things and kind of come up with what I think the best distillery is. We'll work on the other ones going forward, but I just thought it was a good time to do it since Matt Porter named his. And he made a hell of an argument for Jack Daniel's to be the distillery of the year basically saying they've put out such bangers this year, and it's such a big volume of incredible releases that nobody else is going to be able to come up with something to take the title away from them before the end of the year. Good argument. It is allocation season, but let's be honest, we already know what Buffalo Trace is going to do. So there's not going to be any. I mean, the best thing that they could come up with, most likely, is a really great BTAC release. They release BTAC, maybe one of those is going to be exceptionally good. Whoopity-doo. I hate to say it, but it's been done. They might come up with a 13-year-old Eagle Rare or a 15-year-old something. I don't know. I love Buffalo Trace. I love everything that they do. It's all delicious, but I am so bored with Buffalo Trace. I just can't see straight. Kevin is bringing up Tanyard Hill. We're going to get there. Before we do that, let's talk about, we got to put on the what we're sipping can, because you guys are supposed to be putting what you're drinking in the comments. I tonight am sipping on this. If you know, you know. Hashtag. We did the official release party. Thank you for everybody that came out. It was really, really great. We got a good turnout for the Chicken Cock Whiskey Bonded Private Reserve Cask with the Whiskey Bonded logo on it, embossed. It kind of turned out good. We did that down at Locked Barrel. Shout out to Jason at Locked Barrel Whiskey Bar in Sacramento. We did the release on this. We also did a Chicken Cock tasting, and I got to tell you, this might be the best thing from Chicken Cock that I've ever tasted. It is the best thing I've ever tasted from Chicken Cock. It's definitely the best thing they got coming out right now. Our pick actually went over the 7-year mark. It's labeled as a 6-year, but Will Wheaton, Will Whittington, the national brand ambassador for Chicken Cock, actually said that he believes this is the oldest distillate that they've ever put in a reserve cask. So to all of you, that's what I'm drinking tonight. Absolutely. Oh, Lord. Okay. That is a delicious bottle of freaking whiskey. The labeling is badass. The bottling is badass. And the whiskey is absolutely freaking delicious. Good Lord. I need a minute. Plus, I lost track of where I'm at on my windows. Here we go. Okay. Yeah, Steve, it's fire. Currently driving Redwood Empire Grizzly Beast. How do you drive Grizzly Beast? I'm assuming you mean drinking Monkey Overlord. Joyce, fantastic question. Wait a minute. Kevin said Star Trek. I did see all those crazy Star Trek releases. I thought that was pretty funny. I decided not to put those in the shop. I think I probably should have, because they did sell like crazy. Someone sold them. It just wasn't me. As far as when the Chicken Cock will hit the shop, you guys, this 3-tier distribution system is going to be the end of me. I literally have a case sitting here. We did the release party. The order's been put in, and it's just this crazy chain of emails going back and forth. Can you order it? Yeah, you can order it. What's the UPC? I don't know. What's the barrel designation? Here's a barrel designation. Well, do you know what the proof is? I put it in the last email. Well, what's the UPC? I don't know. Can you give me the UPC? Well, here's the UPC. Well, that's not in the system. We got to put it in the system. What do you mean you got to put it in the system? Anyway, the short answer to the short version of the long answer is it should be any time now. I'm hoping inside of a week. Once that hits the shop, we are going to release. First time you're going to hear it here. Looks like the release is going to be the Old Louisville Columbian Oak. The Chicken Cock Reserve Cask and the Frey Ranch Barrel Strength Rye single barrel is going to be the 3 bottles that we're going to release. That's what it's looking like. It could absolutely change at any time, because the Frey Ranch went to the wrong warehouse and trying to get some of it sent here, and then it's supposed to go to it's just forget it. I'll let you know when it's in the shop. Grizzly Beast Batch 5. Yes, you guys, Grizzly Beast and Rocket Top Batch 5 are out in the crazy tubes. I haven't tried them yet. That's not a lie. I've not actually cracked those open and tried them out. You guys, I've got so much crap piled up over here. And by crap, I mean really delicious distilled spirits. I am so far behind because of the chicken cock release and all the trouble we've been having with trying to get the barrels out. Yes, Joyce, we're gonna have a package deal. We like to call them bundles. There's gonna be a bundling. We're gonna bundle them. It's gonna be great. Okay, so let's go. Let's stay on task. Joanna is not here to keep me on task. So you guys are gonna have to just bear with the craziness. So first of all, let's talk about Distillery of the Year. So I've got some notes over here because I wanted to bring this up because I want to make sure that I don't miss anything. You guys have got to let me know if I missed something, if I'm right, if I'm wrong, if there's something that we're missing, if there's anything else I should put in. So for consideration, I have a few for consideration here. The first one being Jack Daniels. I wanted to look at Jack Daniels based on what Matt Porter said. And you guys know that Jack Daniels released not only some more of the age statement, this is in 2025, the 2014 or the 14-year-old Jack Daniels release, the JD14 released. Cask strength, I've got a 126 sitting right here. Delicious aged Jack Daniels. Some of the best, the oldest age-stated Jack Daniels that they've put out. The price was about $150. We know what secondary was, but wasn't super crazy for 14 years. It's great, but it wasn't super crazy. They also put out Jack Daniels 12-year batch 3 and 10-year batch 4. Okay, so the 107 proof and the 97 proof. I love the 107 proof. I think it's fantastic. Now, keeping in mind, the 14 was a new release. The other ones were subsequent batch releases. Steve, we're going to get to Wild Turkey. I promise you it's on the list. What's going on, flipping Jedi? But Jack Daniels also put out the single barrel, the Heritage barrel, new permanent release. I think that was a really important one. The 100 proofer, the Heritage barrel is really delicious. It's the double oaked, yada yada schmack. You guys can put it in the comments. I forget the breakdown of it. I didn't put it, but they also did some distillery releases. We know that. But the Tanyard Hill Rye, which everybody is losing their freaking mind over, which I think reasonably so. They should be losing their mind over to Jack Daniel's barrel proof rye that goes well into hazmat. Some of those are proofing out up over 148 proof. Big deal. As always, that is a ridiculous MSRP. It's like 70 or 80 bucks for the MSRP on the bottle. We know we're not going to be able to touch them for that, except for Tom. Just stupid value on the bottle. I want to say it's $79 for the MSRP. Is that right? You guys correct me on that. I actually don't have that in my notes. I got a bunch of notes over here, but I don't want to make it too notey because then I can't read it all while you guys are watching. Really badass release. So I get where Matt Porter was saying that based on those releases alone, the significance of them. Forget the Tennessee Blackberry, which is really important, and the Jack Daniels McLaren 2025 edition. I mean, boom. I see why he would say that. You didn't think I was going to talk about Jack Daniels and not talk about the Jack Daniels McLaren Racing, did you? Really, really hard to argue with that. And to be honest with you, there goes Slotman said $80 MSRP. To be honest with you guys, I really don't know that I found any distilleries that released more significant releases in 2025 than Jack Daniels. Now, you could argue, and I think you should argue, the level of significance of the releases, additional regular year-round releases, or might you consider something like the next one on the list is Wild Turkey. So first of all, let's hit you with the. I'm trying to be better about this dynamic stuff. So check this out. Boom. Jack Daniels 10-year Hill Rye special release. Okay, enough of that. On to the next one, because I didn't bring that up in time. The other distillery that I wanted to throw in there, because the conversation that I wanted to have with you guys is it all about number of new releases, or are we talking about level of significances of such? So I think that Master's Keep Beacon that came out this year is the best Master's Keep. I've said this before. It's an incredibly delicious release. It is a significance of Bruce and Eddie. It is the last Master's Keep. I mean, it's a really fantastic release. And from Wild Turkey, you also have the Russell's 13, most recent release, which I got to go pick up from the dang store, and I'll let you know how that is. But everything that I've heard is that the new Russell's 13 is fantastic. Again, Not a new release, agreed. But the significance of the releases and how good they are. I mean, how do you rank the Wild Turkey Master's Keep Beacon, maybe the best Wild Turkey Master's Keep release ever, against something like a Tanyard Hill, which, yes, turned up the proof on, but we already know that Jack Daniel's releases some of the best barrel strength rye single barrels that there are. I love them. They've won in blinds for me multiple times. This one is Tanyard Hill, great, cool rickhouse, and it's higher proof. Will it be better? Yes. We all lost our minds over Coy Hill. But if you take the whiskey geek hype out of it, and don't put so many points in the proof, it's another single barrel Jack Daniel's rye release. Brilliant marketing, really smart on their part. But what is the level of significance compared to the end of an iconic series? I don't know. You have to ask yourself that. One of the other distilleries that I wanted to talk about that I think is one of the most significant distilleries in whiskey right now, period, but maybe didn't have that strong of a 2025. And I wanted to know what you guys think about this, because maybe there's some releases that I didn't think about, but Bardstown Bourbon Company. Okay. Bardstown Bourbon Company I think is doing a ton for whiskey industry right now. They're trying to become, you've got Tennessee distillers in Tennessee, you've got MGP in Indiana, and you've got Bardstown Bourbon Company in Kentucky. I don't know that anybody would argue with that assertion. They're making some incredible juice. They're making it for a lot of different people. They're contract distilling stuff. Our chicken cock is contract distilled at Bardstown and aged at Bardstown, and it's fantastic. And I would challenge anybody to name me something that's coming out of Bardstown that's not good. We tried the new John Lee Hooker releases, Bardstown. The new Kentucky series from Old Louisville, Bardstown. I don't know if you can specifically... Now, if you specifically look at every single thing coming out of Bardstown, contract distilled, this could be a very good argument. I think the only thing that's holding Bardstown back from being named Distillery of the Year is Discovery 13 is fantastic. They did the Farrand, which is really, really good. But name some of the things they released this year. Not really a big year for Bardstown as far as new releases in 2025. I mean, unless you guys have something else, put it in the comments, obviously. What's up, Colby? What's going on? If you don't want the Russell's 13, I'll take it after you review it. You got to ask, right? Steve brings up a good point. Wild Turkey 8-year was also in 2025. Wild Turkey 70th was in 2025. I think Wild Turkey 8-year is a pretty significant release that is turning out to be a regular on-the-shelf bottle, and it actually is a very delicious bottle for the price. There's an argument to be said there. That's a good point. Good point, Steve. I didn't have that in there. Jack Daniel's releases and Wild Turkey releases are neck and neck quality-wise. Not hype, but quality. Agreed. Jack Daniel's has got them on volume. I feel like, but you do have a point. Their new Heritage barrels are regular shelf release. The Wild Turkey 101 8 years is a shelf release. Even though the Beacon is not a hazmat, it is the highest proof Master's Keep that they've ever released. Whereas that Tanyard Hill is a higher proof single barrel rye. Cathedral, I believe Cathedral was 2025. Cam, I think you might be right on that. That was a delicious freaking bottle. I'm not a giant fan of the 375 releases that Bardstown does, though. I mean, I get it, but a 375 is a small bottle, and if you get something that's really, really delicious, you don't have enough of it. I know that it was expensive too. It was really expensive, but okay. Another one we have to talk about, and I don't really want to talk about it, but we have to talk about it because, like I said, I'm whoopity-doo on the whole thing. But you got to consider Buffalo Trace. I think you got to consider Buffalo Trace primarily because everything that they release is fantastic. They do release a lot of it. You do have the new Eagle Rare 12-year, which is a reasonably priced, readily available, consistently blended, it's delicious release. I'm all about the Eagle Rare. I love Eagle Rare. Right? They also have the additional a BTAC bottle. Then they get E.H. Taylor this year going to the BTAC. You guys are going to have to check this because I forgot to check the year on this. Was the E.H. Taylor barrel proof rye this year or the end of last year? Yes, Grok. If you get a chance to get E.H. Taylor barrel proof anything, just buy it. I mean, at a reasonable price. It's really, really fantastic. Blanton's Gold Pick. Yeah. So see, Tim just said the Blanton's Gold Pick. Blanton straight from the barrel, Blanton's Gold, all the BTAC stuff. Everything I've ever had from Buffalo Trace is good to great. Their base level stuff, you know, early ancient age and stuff. But you get above that, you get to even to Buffalo Trace. But Igor, E.H. Taylor, Blanton's, all those Stag, those are all really, really delicious. End of 2024. Okay, so we can't count E.H. Taylor barrel proof rye. I'm gonna have to pause every time I take a sip of this damn chicken cock. That is a damn good whiskey. It was sold out in 20 minutes. What was sold out in 20 minutes? Scruck. I missed a comment. Anyway, I know that they released another Prohibition collection in 2025. I just have a hard time with the Buffalo Trace. We get the BTAC every year. We get the Van Winkle releases every year. Oh crap! I forgot to sign up for the Total Wine Lottery for the whoopsie. Damn it, Old Forester. Well, see, okay, so Old Forester. Here's a problem with Old Forester. You could look at Old Forester. We could consider Old Forester, but Old Forester is Brown Forman. Brown Forman is Jack Daniels. Do you let Old Forester? I mean, Old Forester's not going to outdo. I mean, it's a good conversation. What did Old Forester release this year? President's Choice, King of Kentucky, right? Yes, technically Brown Forman. Anyway, I tell you what, we do need to consider. We do need to consider Heaven Hill. Okay, primarily because I think you can't. I think you're undervaluing this bottle. Okay, I keep saying this, and I keep getting some pushback on this. I think the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof Rye is a significant release from them. Okay, I do, because it's a regular shelf bottle, reasonably priced. It is a fantastic, delicious bottle. I'm not super thrilled with the idea that they're going to do 3 releases a year like they do with the barrel proof bourbon, because I just getting kind of fatigued from that. I'm getting kind of fatigued from the 3 times a year. Maybe it's great. Maybe it's good. We don't really know. We got to try it. I'll tell you what, it's great for the whiskey community to be able to do these things and have these conversations all the time. You also have from Heaven Hill the new Grain to Glass specialty barrel series. The Heritage Barrel 19-year-old Kentucky Straight Wheat Whiskey, the Heritage Collection. There's not a whole lot. They did do they had the Old Fitzgerald Decanter Series release this year. That's good. But I think I'm not going to count them as the distillery of the year, only because there wasn't anything that was super mind-blowing, new, or different there. There's some delicious stuff there, but nothing that was, I think, super significant other than the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof Rye. I mean, unless you guys want to jump in here and tell me that I'm wrong. The 6 chicken cock bottles you have, are those the ones you are sending out to the crew that picked the barrel? It's always about you, isn't it, Rick? What does Rick get? What does Rick want? Rick, do you have space on the shelf anymore? You're not putting my chicken cock on the floor. Okay, please don't do that. Tim brings up a good point. Birthday Bourbon. Birthday Bourbon's a good Old Forester release. But is this year's Birthday Bourbon significant in some way? And I don't know how much you're going to put as far as consideration. Tom brings up a good point, being about hard to consider Buffalo Trace Special with their new releases. It's just so hard to find it at SRP. That is absolutely true. I mean, do we put consideration for whether you can get the bottles at MSRP or not? Availability is something that we should bring into question for Distillery of the Year? I mean, is making the product available for those that want to drink it a major consideration? Maybe it should be. Maybe it should be a consideration. Rick. Yeah, Devin tried to seek one out. Devin, if you'd have asked instead of tried to sneak, honesty is always the best policy, sir. Oh, Jim Beam. So someone's bringing up Jim Beam. So what here's the question though. What new releases were from Jim Beam? Let's see. I'm gonna pull up the old. I've been using the Chat GPT because here's the problem. If you try to sit and think about everything that was released through the year for one distillery on your own, that's hard to do. I can go through my bottles. I think Distillery of the Year should be who released the best new whiskey that is available to the masses, not the limited edition. That definitely changes the consideration because then you got to look at Jack Daniels had the Heritage Barrel. But I don't know. I think the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof Rye is a more significant release than the Jack Daniels Heritage Barrel 1-to-1. So Jim Beam. Someone brought up Jim Beam. You do have the Hardin Creek. You got obviously 3 more Bookers and another extra reserve. A Knob Creek 21-year-old. That was a significant release from Jim Beam. But if you want to say not that easy to get, that's going to blow that out. T.A. Burston said, "Do y'all like toasted marshmallow from Penelope?" You guys put that in the comments. I will tell you the Hardin's Creek that we had. We did the. I can't remember that. I think it was Owl. We had the Owl at the release party because obviously we always sneak extra bottles in. We had the Owl at the release party. I do have the mushroom here, but I haven't opened it and tried it yet. I will tell you this. For $150, that's a really delicious bottle, but that should be a $99 bottle. $150 is a little bit too expensive for that bottle. I found it really well done and very delicious, but not compelling in the way that I really want a $150 bottle to be. Which I think is part of the reason why all these single barrel releases that we're doing this year and that a lot of other people doing this year are so significant, because so many of these really great, unique single barrel releases are less than the price. Therein lies the problem. Do you buy a Hardin Creek for $150, or do you get a really fantastic barrel-proof single barrel release for $99 or $125 or $85, right? I really think 2025 into 2026 is going to be the year of private single barrel releases. Squirrel brought up Garrison Brothers Sonora. Very, very good, very significant single release, new release for Garrison Brothers. For Garrison Brothers, that release of that Sonora is more significant than Heritage Barrel is for Jack Daniels or Elijah Craig Barrel Proof Rye is for Heaven Hill, 100%. But then you're getting into the conversation of significance of the release for the distillery rather than Distillery of the Year. Garrison Brothers will release a fantastic Laguna Madre, a fantastic Cowboy Bourbon, the Lady Bird. They'll do all of those things. They'll all be good. But if you release one new release that is significant to them for sure and absolutely delicious, is it enough to make them a Distillery of the Year? I got to say no. Personally. Good evening, all of you wonderful whiskey people. I'm finished with the Kitsap samples, and I feel like a basic bitch. Mike, that's a funny comment. Are we considering NDPs? Listen, I think if you're going to do Distillery of the Year, I don't think you can consider NDPs. I do think, and here's the last one I want to talk to you guys about. And then we're just going to open this up and have a little discussion, do a little drinking. I did want to talk about one, not NDP necessarily, because I guess they are an NDP, but more of a blending house, because I think you got to think of the two different things differently. Because if blending house is what you do and what you specialize in, specifically what I'm talking about is barrel craft spirits. So Barrel Craft Spirits, I think, is one of the best producers in whiskey. They make some fantastic stuff. They crush things on a regular basis. On a regular basis, they put out crushers. In fact, I would say that every year, Barrel puts out something that I go, that's freaking delicious. Their Mizunara was fantastic. I mean, I've got a whole shelf of Barrel products up here. This one being the most recent one that actually blew my socks off. This new triple rum cask finished hazmat 20-year-old crazy bottle of whiskey. Super delicious. Yes, a little too expensive. I will agree with that. But they also put out, they had a new 12-year-old French oak cask finish, which I have reviewed but not dropped yet. Spoiler alert. Not blown away by that one. They put out the New Year edition 2025, obviously this year. Delicious. But their decades releases of those 20-year-olds, the new black labels that replace the old gold and gray labels. The 20-year hazmat, 142 proof, incredible whiskey. The new triple rum, incredible whiskey. But can you consider them? Because they're not. I mean, you bring up a good question, Cam. Can you consider an NDP? I think for Distillery of the Year, I don't know that you can, because they're not distilling. It's in the name Distillery of the Year. But what if we changed it to Whiskey Producer of the Year? I mean, it's a little vague, and then you'd have to start talking about the little boys a little more. I think those are things that are going to be considered in Whiskey of the Year. I will absolutely consider that triple rum Whiskey of the Year. I think I'll probably get a little pushback from that because it's finished, but I don't give a shit. I didn't say Bourbon of the Year. I said Whiskey of the Year. Speaking of Bourbon of the Year, Bomburgers. But did you consider Michter's a distillery? I mean, they are distilling their own stuff, but is Michter's now officially their own distillery? Or are they still using source to juice? There's a whole nother freaking whiskey geek conversation. Yeah, see, Tim saying I love barrel. Nurse on my seagrass. Sean says I'm a barrel fanboy. I've never met anybody that doesn't think that barrel stuff is good. If you're in the room right now and you think barrel stuff is not good, please put that in the comments. I'd love to absolutely group crucify you for that. Penelope and NDP. I think Penelope's still an NDP technically. Now they're a name for MGP. MGP's not an MGP. There's a distillery. But are you going to say Penelope is Distiller of the Year? They're not a distillery. It's a brand name for a distillery, right? I mean, technically? That's actually a really good question. The Fiddler. I actually have some Fiddler over here. The one that I tried, the green egg one, was actually really, really good. I haven't dropped that review yet, and I've got another bottle, but I was actually quite impressed with the Fiddler. Tim. I believe that's Tim Burston. NDP can't be best distillery of the year, but absolutely has to be considered for the whiskey company of the year. So you guys put in the comment, what is your whiskey company of the year? If we don't do distillery, what's whiskey company of the year? I will agree that Penelope's been doing a lot of things, and you could probably consider MGP for whiskey company of the year every year. I think that's part of the reason why nobody does whiskey company of the year. What we probably should do is do distillery of the year. We should split it up into craft distillery and big boy distillery, maybe. That might be the way to go. Because how do you have somebody... I think Redwood Empire is having a fairly significant year. They did their new distillery. They got a new distillery release, Foggy Burrow. They did the new 2025 Bottle and Bond series in tubes. They've got more fantastic single barrels coming out, including our own, around the end of November. Going to be a great year for Redwood Empire. I also happen to know they're working on some other stuff that may drop before the end of the year. But small distillery, can they really make as big an impact as some of the big boys? They have more reach, more money, more aged distillate, more options to put out a lot of releases. Oh, yeah. See, Gabatra. See, you guys, your screen names, man. What were the difference between Brown-Forman and JD? So Jack Daniels is owned by parent company Brown-Forman. Something like King of Kentucky is Brown-Forman. Old Forester is Brown-Forman. Those are Brown-Forman releases. Jack Daniels is... Man, I consider Jack Daniels its own distillery because it was bought out by Brown-Forman, but Jack Daniels has been its own standalone distillery in Lynchburg for a really, really long time. It's just owned by Brown-Forman. But it's hard to consider... We can't consider Brown-Forman releases like Old Forester, Jack Daniels, but you can... Not all Brown-Forman is Jack Daniels, but all Jack Daniels is Brown-Forman. How's that for confusing? Company of the Year, Bond Bottle Shop. Liquor Store of the Year, Online Liquor Store of the Year, Whiskey Liquor Store of the Year, bondandbottleshop.com. No doubt, we'll just stamp that one on there right now. It's kind of early in the year, but I don't see anybody coming out of anywhere to take it from me. Sagamore and Old Dominic. So, Sean, I love this small craft distillery conversation. I've been really impressed with Old Dominic this year. I've gone from no Old Dominic to 4 different things from Old Dominic just in this year. I definitely like what they're doing. I would have to have more Old Dominic before I could have a conversation with anybody really about whether Old Dominic should be considered a craft distillery of the year. Same with Sagamore. I've had some good Sagamore releases. I know their stuff now. I've got the new 10-year Sagamore rye sitting over here in a box. I cannot wait to get into it and try it. I've got to get to that. I'm so far behind, y'all. I'm sure that's going to be amazing, and some people have already said that that's going to be rye of the year. I probably will not be naming a rye of the year. Anybody got time for that? Maybe I will. I don't know. We'll see what you guys think. I don't know if Sagamore's putting out enough stuff, maybe. Like I said, I think there has to be a certain volume because you got to be moving and shaking. I think if you're going to be craft distillery of the year, you can't drop one badass release. because I just don't think it can be significant market shaking enough like it can for a big boy. You could see a single release from a large distillery really shake up a market based on price point. I mean, I would argue that when Bardstown put out Origin Series, they really shook the market up on that because of the quality and price point and the age and all that stuff. But if Sagamore drops their best 10-year-old, this is that good. Well, Sagamore's making some of their own stuff and sourcing some of it, is my understanding. It's a blend of some sourced and some distilled. But the smaller ones can't come with something that's going to be a industry shaking release in a single thing. I think they got to do a few things. Like Redwood Empire is doing some really incredible stuff, and I think they're going to mix up and shake up the craft distillery market a lot. But I don't think they're big enough still to make a groundbreaking, industry shaking release in one release. I just don't know if they can do that. It's a lot. It's a lot to try to ask them to do. G4 Tequila. There's a comment out of left field. But sure. Wait, Steve. Steve is naming Old Louisville. Listen, I understand where this is coming from, Steve. You might be biased. I do want to say one thing about Old Louisville, though. As far as non-distilling producers, Old Louisville is absolutely crushing because Amin has the ability to pick some really good stuff, and there is a lot to be said for that. I mean, look how much respect we have for Old Carter. There is a lot of ripples being made in the non-distilling producers. I mean, look at Binder Stash just made the news for getting a contract to get his stuff from Willett. There's a lot of places that are pulling MGP distillate and either blending it or releasing it in single barrels. It's going to be a very interesting couple of years, I think, for non-distilling producers because the prices of barrels have come down and you can get some good stuff. And some of these releases that are coming out, the O.Z. Tyler Short Barrel from Kitsap Whiskey Society, things like that, this whole craze for buff turkey stuff, because those things are starting to get less expensive and more accessible, you're going to see more stuff come out from non-distilling producers. It's going to be really, really incredible. And we're going to see how these relationships work out, how some of these non-distilling producers can build on those relationships to get them to go into the rafters and pull out the great stuff and let them bottle it. Who knows? You might see us bottle up our own whiskey brand. I actually was watching a video. It was by the founder of Pinhook about how much it costs to start up your own whiskey brand. And he said, it's not that much. I said, shit, let's do it. Let's do it. He said the problem is the marketing, but we got all you fine people to get out there and spread the good word. Sagamore cannot be Rye of the Year. Why not, Steve? Why not? Steve, why not? Why can't Sagamore be Rye of the Year? What if I open that 10-year-old Sagamore bottle and it's the most incredible rye I've ever tasted? Yes, Redwood Empire is still sourcing for their core lineup, but they're also doing a lot of distilling, and their own distilled stuff I think is far more compelling. For a whiskey drinker, their core stuff that they're sourcing and blending is so well done. That's the thing about Redwood Empire. They do a wonderful job blending and a really wonderful job of distilling. And not a lot of places do that as well on both ends of that. Barrel does an incredible job of blending. They don't distill. Tap and barrels. How many screen names you going to get, big dog? What's tap and barrels now? Tapping barrels? Tap and barrels. Is this Colby's new? I'm so confused. Silk Velvet. You guys, I'm going to admit something to you. I'm going to admit something to you that's kind of embarrassing as a semi-professional whiskey reviewer. I don't even know what to call myself. I can't use the term influencer. Even though I do see the way that your guys' wallets are influenced by the things that I do, and I'm starting to feel really bad about that. There was a comment today about, great, now I'm going to have to spend $200 on another bottle. You guys do realize you don't have to buy everything that I like. You don't. Except for my single barrel picks. You have to buy all those. Because I need you to buy them. Please. Silk Velvet. Here's what I'm going to admit. Embarrassing moment for me right now. I didn't know about Silk Velvet. Colby was talking to me about Silk Velvet, and I said, so what? Apparently, Silk Velvet made a big splash at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, which I didn't go to because contrarian and all. They made a big splash there. And apparently Colby has managed to get a Silk Velvet something or another for Kitsap Whiskey Society. I'll let him talk about that. I had no idea. So Silk Velvet. Sag makes a Manhattan finished whiskey hard to find but delicious. Can I also admit something else to you guys? I like Manhattans, but I'm not a giant fan of a Manhattan. It's really got to be made right. The bitterness of the dang vermouth. No, yes. If I got that wrong, it's been a really long day. Are we entering a golden age of whiskey? Yes, 100%. Cam, I think we are re-entering a golden age of whiskey. Listen, you guys run around chasing Dusties all day long from a time when whiskey was produced at lower quantities, at higher age statements, with better grain, with better wood, with all of these wonderful things, and we run around losing our freaking minds trying to find them. I think we're going to enter back into that stage because as the whiskey demand goes down and the whiskey supply is staying high, I think you're going to see the quality, availability, and pricing of these things get better. Yes, Four Roses is up for sale. If anybody else wants to go in a billion ways with me, I'm good for $1. Tom, it's interesting you said, I think for U.S. whiskey geeks. We do tend to talk in U.S. terms in general. I think things are different in the rest of the world. But that would be a conversation for another time, probably. I'll give you my Cash App. Deficit spending is the American way. It's just patriotic. Agreed. What? Kitsap just said, bruh. Feel free to donate to the Tom Whiskey Palace Debt Relief Fund. Oh, Tap got Colby on Silk. Well, Colby forgot to mention that. We are picking the first ever Silk Velvet single barrel for someone outside of Kentucky. Okay, Colby, I said we talk about that later. I don't know. I just know that you got something Silk Velvet. You guys got to understand that most of the time I'm not listening. Most of the time when you guys are talking about stuff, I'm kind of listening, but I'm doing what I'm doing right now in my head. I'm talking constantly. That's fantastic, though. If you guys put it in the comments, anybody else know what Silk Velvet is? And is Colby getting a Silk Velvet barrel pick a big deal? It feels like a big deal. It sounds like a big deal. Sean's in for $2. So Sean, you got me for my $1 then? We just need 1 billion more people. BSK, the end is coming. Stop it, Tim. The end is not coming. Good times are coming. You're going to be able to get the good quality crow for cheap, like soon. Favorite bourbons from your home state? Oy. Listen, for me, that's an easy one. It's Redwood Empire. But I'm in California, so there are other Sabbatical and Corbin, and there's a bunch of other ones in the state, but I'm a Redwood Empire. Clearly. Shocker there. Oh, Ghost of Nisa. I'm in for $4 on the Whiskey Bonnet 4 Roses Give Send to Go. You guys, if I thought there was a single chance in hell to collect enough money to buy 4 Roses, I would do that. I would buy 4 Roses and do something stupid with it. Frey Ranch is not close. Oh, Frey Ranch is not close. Yeah, Frey Ranch is the best in Nevada, and it is not close. It's not even close. There's nobody even sniffing the butts of Frey Ranch. Wait till you guys taste that Frey Ranch barrel strength rye that we got. It's ridiculous. You know what I want to do? Let's go. But this is too much of my face and not enough of whiskey. There you go. Let's go to the sip cam. That's what we're gonna officially call that. By the way, checks in the mail. All right, squirrel. Checks in the mail. That's so funny. You guys are too funny. JT Malik from Louisiana originally. JT Malik. Guys, I'm constantly blown away by JT Malik. I got it back here behind me. The dang bottles are freaking beautiful. I absolutely love them. But it's freaking rice whiskey, for God's sake. It's rice and it's delicious. Savage and Cook is fire and it's sort of Redwood Empire. What's up, Chef Chris? Yeah, Savage and Cook is kind of no more though. I know they still got some of the Bloody Butcher distillate in there. They're trying to do some stuff with that, but Bloody Butcher is hard to work with, low yield, inconsistent crops. So I don't think we're going to see that survive. Unfortunately, I think you're going to see Savage and Cook disappear into annals of whiskey history. Annals? I think I said annals. I need a graphic overlay of the sip cam. I thought about that before we came on, but I didn't have time to do that, Cam. I wing this whole setup about 15 minutes before it goes on, so come to the bank of BSK. I got you. I'm talking about for bottles of Oak Crow. What I'm talking about? Okay, so let's use the last 15 minutes. Before I have to go walk the dog. That is a really delicious bottle of whiskey. I keep saying the same freaking thing. Um, I'm going to be making some changes to a couple of things. One, the Bond Bottle Shop is going to update at some point, hopefully around the end of the year. We're going to try and get through the end of the year, and shortly after that, revamp the Bond and Bottle Shop because we keep adding things to it, and it's getting harder and harder to shop through. There's too much in it. So we're going to upgrade and change that. We just got to get through all the single barrel releases that we're dropping between now and the end of the year. Again, it looks like we're going to do them about once a month. The timing on these things is crazy, but we're going to do 3 bottles here in a week or so. And then we're going to do 3 bottles in early December, and hopefully something before Christmas. I don't know. It might be after the end of the year, and that's going to be a giant flop because you guys are going to be so tapped out from Christmas, there'll be no money left. But it is what it is. The other thing is we are going to up the Patreon. The Patreon is going to change. There's going to be more content on the Patreon. I am going to, in 2026, we are going to be doing more long-form content in the Patreon and on YouTube. And I was talking with Joanna, and I think the way that we're going to go is, and you guys please put this in the comments. I want your guys' feedback on this. I think what we're going to do is you're going to continue to see that same kind of silly, over-the-top, fun, short content that I like to do. But I think we're going to kind of take it down a notch. You guys are still going to get, my ridiculous comments and general horseshit for the long form content. But I think we're going to try and be a little bit more informative, put a little more time into it, dig a little more into history, and do a little bit more with the long form content. It's something that I want to lean into with the Whiskey Bottle University. We're also going to be doing just more interviews and more things like that. So please watch that in 2026. Going into the Christmas season, I do not know if we're going to be able to crank up the content and such, because with all the single barrel drops coming, the normal content we got going, trying to keep these Whiskey Wednesday lives consistent, and then do some events and stuff with you guys too, like the release party that we had. It's a lot. Redwood has made it pretty clear that they're just burning through the rest of Savage and Cook, and once those barrels are gone, so is the brand. That is accurate from my understanding there. The lunatic. We always find money for the Bond and Bottle Shop. Yeah, you guys, I wanted to say something to you guys. I do appreciate you guys are so consistently getting in there and shopping at bondandbottleshop.com and supporting the single barrels. I know that sometimes it is a lot to ask, and that's why you guys always gonna see me stop a little short of pushing, say buy. I always want to stop short of just being a shameless sales pitch. But my enthusiasm comes through, obviously, on this chicken cock. I'm so excited about this thing. Just the way the bottle turned out, the honor that it is to have our own custom label that they really do not do very often. And they certainly don't do them for content creators. As far as I know, I don't know that any other content creator has ever had a single barrel, a reserve cask custom label. Our bottle actually is paved with our logo, custom phrases on it, and our logo on the back of the bottle that is kind of that whiskey bronze color that our logo is. It's embossed with a foil. It just turned out really incredible. Yeah, Mrs. Whiskey Bonded, Joanna hit it on the nail on the head there. Big things coming in 2026. You guys, please, it is going to be a big year for us in 2026. So I would encourage you guys, please share this. Share this with people, share the links with people, the content with people, invite people to come to the Patreon, invite people to come to the Discord through the Patreon. I am more than happy to have free Patreon members just for people to get in, to have access to the single barrel releases and the Discord. And we're going to be doing the announcements for the single barrels on Patreon first, just to try and keep it clean as possible. Plus, I'm going to have to, you guys are going to watch me be a little careful with how we link things to the shop and how we do these things. So you guys are just really going to have to, I know this is going to be tough, but you're going to have to read the Patreon posts and really pay attention if you want to get in. We're going to reward those that pay attention, because I was talking to TJ over at Bruzel, and they did get a slap on the wrist for doing direct linking to alcohol sales from Patreon. So we're going to want to be really careful about that. Holy shit, that ad was loud AF. Scared the shit out of me. Yeah, you guys, sorry about the advertisements.
I usually been turning them off. I left them on this week to kind of see if it would make a difference in how many people would see the stream. It has not. So we're going to turn the monetization back off next week. We will not have commercials. The replays will have commercials, but the live event will not have commercials. We're going to do that as kind of a tenant. I don't want you guys to be watching me live and watching commercials. It's a pain in the ass. Oh, Squirrel brings up a good point. We need a good advent calendar on Bonded Bottle Shop. Okay. I have access to advent calendars, but they're not my advent calendars. I'd be pulling them from somebody else. We're probably going to forego that this year, but we will do one next year. I want to do an advent calendar that we do uniquely and specifically for bondedbottleshop.com. So that if you're going to get an advent calendar, you'll get one that we put some thought into. I'll get some input from the patrons and we'll put one together. But that's going to take a little bit of time and consideration. We'll have to get ahead of it. We will do it next year. If Joanna reminds me and helps me with it. You're being volunteered right now, bub. Just FYI. So we are going to pass on the advent calendar for one more year, you guys. I'm sorry. I know I get a lot of questions for that, but we're going to pass on it for one more year. Oh, thank you. Look at right here. Whiskey Sensory Shenanigans. Our friend Michael. The chicken cock is good. Much more flavorful and better than anything in their core collection. Agreed. GLS as a shipper of my bottles from the Whiskey Bonded Bottle Shop is frustrating. Gordon, GLS is frustrating. I know we'd like to send everything to UPS, but because of the way the ground shipping works and the different destinations that we use, it's really difficult to use UPS for everything and keep the costs down. Our shipping costs are some of the lowest that are out there for online liquor stores, and we have to be able to use whatever means we can to try and negotiate for the lowest shipping costs. You guys know that obviously there's shipping protection available for next to nothing on the shop, and we are always going to back you guys up on the purchases that you make. We have a sales email address. They're very responsive, and you're always welcome to CC me at inquire@whiskeybonded.com or just send me your stuff directly. I try to get to everybody as quickly as possible and be responsive because that's one of the things that I can always continue to do no matter how big we get, is to pay attention to you guys. What's up, Chris? It's good to see Chef Chris in here. Back of Heaven's yeah, the back of Devin's head pictures is kind of an inside joke. You'll need to be a patron to get those kind of things. That's an inside joke from the crew. We will all remind you. Advent calendar or 12 days of Christmas, 12 days is easier, and you aren't paying catch up all season. Yeah, I will probably not. I'm not going to do a 24-day Advent calendar. I think it's ridiculous. Shipping is going to be absolutely insane. We'll probably cut it down. Michael. Plus, it'll keep the cost down if we do a 12-day or 14-day or something like that. Because I want to be able to hand pick everything and, we'll hopefully do something special. And I want to keep the cost down. Whiskey Advent calendars are so stinking expensive. I don't do them. I for myself. I don't do whiskey Advent calendars at all because of the. What am I going to drink? I'm going to drink a drink of whiskey every single day, plus all the other things I got to do. Plus the frustration of not being able to get the bottle if I taste something I really, really like. A lot of times these whiskey advent calendars are so specific. If I find one I really like, I can't just go out and buy that bottle. And that's one of the things we're going to consider is can I put some stuff in there that you guys might actually be able to get? I mean, I would think that there'd be a value to that. Yeah, Chris, there are ladies in that. I gotta say, I don't think that Joyce and Joanna and the other ladies that are in the Discord, in the Patreon, and on our chat really are too picky. If you say, guys, I think they know that they're included in that. Ooh, still need a good bourbon Valentine's gift basket for the wife in February. Listen, Squirrel, if your wife really loves bourbon and whiskey, maybe. But gentlemen, for those of you who have wives who don't love whiskey, a whiskey Valentine's Day gift basket is not a good idea. I'm just gonna give you that one. Just throw you a bone there. 12 is good. Then we really need 13 days. All bottom shelf whiskey for 12 days. I would like to do a top shelfer, an everyday and a bottom shelf inexpensive whiskey advent calendar. That would be awesome to do. Nobody else does that. The 12 days of Christmas Bonded Bottle Shop advent calendar of 3 tiers. Cheap, mid-range, and expensive. That would be fun to do. Please don't assume my pronouns. Bub, your pronouns are sexy and as hell. Do an advent calendar with a QR code on each door with where to buy the bottle if you like it, I'm sure you can find a shop that can sell them. Devin, I'm gonna hire you as our strategic planner for the shop. That's actually a good idea I wouldn't have thought of. Got to work on my marketing skills. Talking about things is one thing. Oh, Lord, Chris, you're gonna get yourself in trouble. The whiskey basket for my non-whiskey loving wife sounds like a challenge to me. What's going on? Our buddy, Whiskey Johnson. Yeah, if you can get a whiskey basket together that your non-whiskey loving wife will love, that's a pretty good accomplishment. I will tell you, gentlemen, if your wives do not love whiskey, you can win them over. Mrs. Whiskey Bonnet is a fan. She likes the high proof punchy ryes now. It all started with old fashions, and I will continue to say that is the best way to get somebody into whiskey and bourbon. If they're not into it, start with a nice, sweet, low proof, sweet, old fashioned, and work, because come on, who doesn't love a simple syrup and orange forward old fashioned if you're not into whiskey? And then you could slowly crank it up. They don't even need to know about it. Just slowly crank down the sweet, slowly crank up the proof. Next thing you know, they're drinking straight alcohol and they don't even know it because you forgot to put the simple syrup in there. My pronouns are drink, drunk. I actually like that. That's pretty good. Okay. I am going to try every Wednesday, guest or not. Now, if we get a really good guest and we're rolling, that's one thing. Guest or not, to keep these things to an hour. Okay. And we're close. I've got 4 minutes. T.A. Burston, Penelope, all-in-one walnut or peach premix. You can get both of those in bottlebottleshop.com. How's that for a shameless plug? Bondedbottleshop.com has got both of the. I added the Penelope black walnut. Watch this. We're gonna do live. Check this out. How's this? I could probably get in trouble for this though. I would imagine. So I might want to be careful about this. But the peach old fashioned, the walnut. Wait a minute. Why is the walnut one so much less expensive than the peach one? Somebody needs to get on their game right here. One of those is overpriced or one of them is underpriced. I don't know. But I did put the black walnut because I do agree, and I've heard from many, many people that the Penelope pre-mades are some of the best pre-made old fashions that you can get. That actually makes sense to me. I've had some good ones, though. There are some good pre-made old fashions. I went through a whole thing there where I was drinking a whole bunch of those bad boys, and there is a bunch of them that are pretty good, but these are supposed to be pretty good. Chris is going to need at least 3 hours if I'm your guest. Chris, if I can get your ass in the chair, we'll let you run over. We're going to do that at some point. I do want to do a lot more guests, not only for the podcast, because the podcast in 2026 is going to get more action. I have so many things that I want to do, you guys. I just don't have time for them. We're going to make time for them soon. Oh, Joyce says the walnut is better and it's less expensive. That sounds like a no-brainer. Holy crap. Okay, so at this point, because we only get a couple hundred views on the old YouTube lives on Wednesday, because some other yak'em schmack'em guys over there doing all the Wild Turkey Masters keep ranked. It's pretty impressive, to be real, though. To be honest, I'm gonna probably jump over and watch that, see who wins the Wild Turkey Masters Keep blind ranking. I love your podcast, hey, Chris. I really want to crank up the quality on the podcast, brother. I think there's a lot to be done there. I think we can take interviews. When I can take it on the road, that's something that we can do. I really want to do more. Oh, the Rye 3 to the right of your mic. This is yes, but here's the catch. I will tell you this, Tim. I believe that's Tim Burston, T.A. Burston. This is the Rye 3. This is our first single barrel. It's a cask strength toasted rye, 124 proof. That is actually the first whiskey bonded single barrel that we did. I love this. It is all toasted marshmallows, s'mores, chocolate, and graham cracker. It's so delicious. This is the second one of these that I've drank through. There is a few bottles left in this in reserve that I'm going to try and find something special to do with. But I would tell you in general that the Rye 3 cask strength toasted barrels, these are actually really good, and I think they're a bit underrated. I don't think they're talked about enough, to be honest with you, primarily because there's a lot of them out there. That's the problem. But that's just a delicious toasted finish rye. I really, really like this bottle, so I'm glad you asked about that. These are everywhere. Total Wine has store picks of them. In fact, I bet you if you called, you could probably get them to just Carta could probably just give you one of your own. You probably just gift you your own toasted barrel. But I will warn you, careful. There's a lot of bottles in one barrel. But Joyce, listen, Joyce. I've got a case of those bad boys sitting over here. We're gonna do something with those. I've got the tater stickers on them. That's badass. Still the coolest tater sticker we ever did. Yes, I think it's better than the James Bond one. Might not be better than the new rare character ones. The new rare character tater stickers, I think those labels would be considered tater stickers. Tater labels might be the best that we've ever done. But we're gonna find something. We're gonna find something to do with that reserve. It's gonna go to the best of our patrons. That's what I'm gonna do with it. I'm just not sure exactly how we're gonna go about doing that just yet. But we do have the Whiskey Bonded Conrad's private reserve of all of our single barrel picks. I private reserved a few of them. Sneaky me. So we're at the hour mark, you guys. We're gonna wrap it up, but please hit the likes, hit the little thumbs uppies and the hearties and all the other things. If you're not a subscriber, do that already. I doubt that any of you are not subscribers. Check out the Patreon. We got a lot of things going on with single barrels. I'm going to be doing a raffle for access to a couple of bottles that sold out this week that you guys are going to want. Okay. So you don't have to be a paid patron necessarily to get all this. You can be a free patron. Double Oak Louisville, Old Louisville, Steve. Yes, I do have some Double Oak Old Louisville stashed away. That felt very Trumpy. Yep. Okay. Everybody, we'll be back here. Wait. Yes. So I'm doing my interview with Dr. Pat next Tuesday. We will be back on next Wednesday. If I can figure out a way to let you guys get a sneak peek of the interview with Dr. Pat in real time, I will let you do that. But this is going to be kind of a new thing for us. Technically, I'm not sure how we're going to work that out. We may do it as a YouTube live unlisted event. If that's the case, then I will get patrons a link to be able to watch that interview with Dr. Pat in real time prior to the embargo being released for some of the things we're going to talk about. But I think private community, we can probably get away with getting around that old embargo thing. I think so. Or we can just burn that bridge to the ground. Just kidding. I'm not going to do that. You guys, thank you for coming. Yes, Steve. Going to walk the dog. Patrons, if you are so inclined to head over to the Discord to talk into the live chat with the other patrons, please head over to the Whiskey Bonded Patreon. You guys can do whatever you like over there, uncensored and unfettered, unworried about embargoes. You can talk about whatever you want. You are not beholden to the same discretion and professionalism that you see here on this program, the Whiskey Bonded Live Show. Whiskey Bonded Podcast. Whiskey Bonded Live Wednesday podcast show. Anyway, thank you guys for coming. I appreciate you as always. We'll see you back here next Wednesday.